The year is 1944. The world is engulfed in the flames of World War II. Nazi Germany, under the iron fist of Adolf Hitler, has Europe in its grip. Millions have perished. From the frozen Eastern Front to the bombed-out cities in the West, the shadow of war looms large. The Nazi war machine, once seemingly unstoppable, is beginning to falter. Allied forces are gaining ground. Yet, Hitler's grip on power remains absolute. The German people, fed a steady diet of propaganda, are largely unaware of the war's true cost. They are told of heroic victories and imminent triumph. The truth, however, is far more grim. Germany is nearing collapse, and the whispers of discontent are beginning to grow louder. Even within the ranks of the German military, doubts and anxieties fester. Despite the facade of unity and strength projected by the Nazi regime, cracks were appearing. The relentless Allied bombing campaigns had laid waste to German cities, shattering the illusion of invincibility. The tide of the war was turning, and the horrors of the Nazi regime's genocidal policies were slowly seeping into the consciousness of the German people. Within the Wehrmacht, the once unwavering loyalty to Hitler was waning. The mounting casualties, the strategic blunders, and the growing realization of the regime's barbarity sowed seeds of doubt and dissent among some officers. These men, bound by oath to the Führer, found themselves wrestling with their conscience. They saw the devastation unleashed by Hitler's ambition, the senseless loss of life, and the utter disregard for human dignity. Among these dissenters, a small group began to coalesce. They envisioned a different Germany, one free from the tyranny of the Nazi regime. These men, driven by a sense of duty and patriotism, would risk everything for a chance to alter the course of history. Their daring plan to assassinate Adolf Hitler. Claus von Stauffenberg, a decorated colonel in the German army, was a pivotal figure in this resistance movement. Scarred from the battlefields of North Africa, Stauffenberg was a man of action, deeply troubled by the atrocities committed by the Nazi regime. He embodied the struggle within the German military, torn between loyalty to his country and revulsion at the path it had taken. Stauffenberg was not alone. He was joined by a diverse group of conspirators united by their opposition to Hitler and their desire for a return to a just and humane Germany. There were high-ranking military officers like General Friedrich Ulbricht and General Ludwig Beck, diplomats like Ulrich von Hassel, and even individuals from within the Nazi system who had become disillusioned with its brutality. The seeds of the July 20 plot were sown in the shadows, fueled by hushed conversations and clandestine meetings. The conspirators knew the risks involved. Failure meant certain death. Yet, driven by a profound sense of duty and a glimmer of hope, they pressed on, their resolve hardening with each passing day. Their initial attempts to eliminate Hitler were thwarted by a combination of bad luck and the Führer's unpredictable schedule. Time was running out. The longer the war dragged on, the more entrenched the Nazi regime became, and the slim chance of negotiating a peace with the Allies dwindled. With each failed attempt, the urgency grew. The conspirators knew they had to act quickly and decisively. Their opportunity came in the summer of 1944, when Stauffenberg, due to his position, gained access to Hitler's military briefings. Section 5, the Valkyrie Operation, a plan takes shape. The conspirators' plan, code-named Operation Valkyrie, was audacious and fraught with risk. They would utilize a contingency plan originally designed to quell internal uprisings, to seize control of key government buildings in Berlin after Hitler's assassination. The linchpin of the operation was Claus von Stauffenberg. His role was to plant a bomb at Hitler's Wolf's Lair, the Führer's heavily guarded headquarters in East Prussia. Stauffenberg, with his access and determination, was the only one who could get close enough to Hitler to carry out the assassination. The plan was intricate, relying on a complex web of communication and coordination. After the assassination, military units across Germany and occupied Europe would be mobilized to arrest key Nazi leaders and seize control of infrastructure. The conspirators hoped to then negotiate a peace treaty with the Allies, ending the bloodshed that had engulfed the continent. Section 6. The Wolf's Lair, July 20th, 1944, a day of reckoning. On July 20th, 1944, Stauffenberg, carrying a briefcase packed with explosives, arrived at the Wolf's Lair for a military conference. He placed the briefcase, armed with a time bomb, under the table near Hitler and excused himself from the meeting under the pretense of a phone call. Minutes later, the bomb exploded, ripping through the conference room. 4 people were killed, but crucially, Hitler survived. The heavy oak table under which the briefcase had been placed shielded him from the full force of the blast. News of the explosion spread quickly. Confusion reigned. Initially, it was assumed to be an attack by enemy agents. Meanwhile, in Berlin, the conspirators, unaware of the assassination attempt's failure, began to implement Operation Valkyrie. Section 7, The Bomb's Echo, the assassination attempt and its immediate aftermath. The news of the explosion at the Wolf's Lair sent shockwaves through Germany and beyond. The initial confusion quickly gave way to outrage and disbelief as the news of the assassination attempt spread. Hitler, shaken but alive, addressed the nation, his voice trembling with rage, vowing to crush the traitors who had dared to strike at the heart of the Reich. In Berlin, the conspirators faced an agonizing weight. Communication with the Wolf's Lair was chaotic, and conflicting reports about Hitler's fate fueled their hopes and anxieties. They pressed on with Operation Valkyrie, issuing orders to arrest key Nazi officials and seize control of government buildings. However, their plan, so meticulously crafted, began to unravel. Delays, miscommunications, and the hesitancy of some military commanders to act against the Führer created fatal setbacks. The news of Hitler's survival, broadcast over the radio, shattered the last vestiges of hope. Section 8. A web of retribution, the Nazi crackdown. The Nazi regime, reeling from the audacity of the July 20th plot, unleashed a wave of terror and retribution. The Gestapo, Hitler's secret police, swung into action, rounding up anyone even remotely connected to the conspiracy. Thousands were arrested, imprisoned, and tortured. Show trials, orchestrated to serve as public spectacles of Nazi vengeance, condemned the accused to death. The executions were brutal and public, designed to instill fear and crush any lingering dissent. Among those executed were high-ranking military officers, politicians, intellectuals, and even clergymen who had dared to raise their voices against the regime. The crackdown extended beyond the immediate circle of conspirators. The families of those involved were also targeted. Children were torn from their parents, wives widowed, and entire families branded as traitors and subjected to persecution. The Nazi regime, in its death throes, sought to make an example of those who dared to challenge its authority. Section 9. Legacy of Courage. Remembering the Resistance. The July 20th plot, despite its tragic failure, stands as a testament to the courage and conviction of those who dared to resist the Nazi regime. Claus von Stauffenberg and his co-conspirators, fully aware of the risks involved, chose to act, driven by a sense of duty to their country and to humanity. Their actions, though ultimately unsuccessful in their immediate goal, serve as a powerful reminder that even in the darkest of times, the human spirit yearns for freedom and justice. The legacy of the July 20th plot extends far beyond the confines of World War II. It serves as an inspiration to those who fight against tyranny and oppression, a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming odds, resistance is not futile. The conspirators, though vilified in their time, are now remembered as heroes, symbols of courage and moral integrity. Section 10. Echoes of July 20th. Lessons for the future. The story of the July 20th plot holds profound lessons for us today. It reminds us of the fragility of democracy, the seductive power of propaganda, and the devastating consequences of unchecked power. It underscores the importance of individual responsibility, the courage to speak truth to power, and the need to safeguard the values of freedom and human dignity. The July 20th plot serves as a stark warning from history, a reminder that we must remain vigilant in the face of extremism, intolerance, and the erosion of democratic values. It is a call to action, urging us to cherish our freedoms, to speak out against injustice, and to honor the legacy of those who fought for a better world by striving to create one ourselves.